Hi Brittan and Brittan's class. Thanks so much, Brittan, for choosing Smudge's Mark as your book report book. It means a lot to me. Now, Brittan sent me some questions, and I've got them written out, and I'll hold them up so you can read them, and then I'll answer them. Okay, so starting with number 1. If by hard you mean was it a lot of work, then yes, definitely was a lot of work. The book took me about 3 years to write, from beginning to end. 3 years. And that was only the first copy. Then my editor came in and suggested other changes. So just know that any time that you write something and your teacher corrects it for you, that's actually a good thing, because your teacher is helping you to become a better writer. My editor helped me become a better writer by pointing out things that I could improve in my book. So after the first 3 years that it took me to write the story from beginning to end, the first copy, then my editor helped me to make it a better book so it could be published and so other people like you could read it. That took about another year. And I probably ended up rewriting the entire book about 10 times. That's how hard I worked on it. So like I said, if your teacher is trying to correct work for you, it's a good thing because it will make your writing better. And if it's something that you love to do, then even the hard work is worth it. Okay, number 2. The first character that I thought of was Smudge. And the first scene that I wrote, the first scene in the whole book, wasn't the very first scene. It wasn't the first chapter in the book. That came later. The first scene that I wrote in the book was the scene where Smudge is in his classroom and he's daydreaming. And he's drawing the dragon and he's coloring in the eyes. That was the first scene that I wrote. And what inspired that scene was actually my own son, Matthew. Because Matthew, when he was in school, he would daydream all the time. And he'd always be drawing. I'd look at his notebook and it would be full of pictures instead of work. But he was listening. That's what he tells me. He was listening. But that's what inspired my character Smudge. And even though Smudge was based on my son, I soon realized after writing more and more of the character that I realized he wasn't so much like my son in his personality. So even though Smudge was inspired by my son, he ended up being a very different person than my son is. And then I just imagined the other characters just came into play because I would imagine where Smudge was, whether he was at school or whether he was out. I would just imagine his situations, and then other characters would come to me. I knew Smudge needed some friends, and I knew that the school would have a headmaster, a very strict headmaster. So all of these ideas for the characters came just because where Smudge was and his surroundings and his life and just how he lived his life. And I think for an author to answer a question about where ideas come from is a very difficult one. In a way, most ideas just come from life, like I just explained. And they just seem to come into your head. They just drop into your head as you're writing. And I find that the more I write, the main thing is to get my fingers on the keyboard and start writing. And then the ideas will come. And the characters as well. And what they say and what they do just falls into place. And then, of course, there's always the editing process that we can make it better. Okay, the next question. That as an artist of any kind, I think your beliefs and your views and the ideas that you have that are all a part of who you are comes out in your art. Whether you're a writer or a musician or a painter, a sculptor, somebody who draws, I think as an artist, I think the things that you hold most valuable to you will come out in your art. And Smudge's Mark is definitely a story about good versus evil. And I guess my views and my beliefs of a God and an evil force definitely came out in my writing as the characters, as Yegra and Demlock and Sorgal in the end. And I do believe that my beliefs did affect the way I wrote the book, and I think my beliefs will come out in every book that I write, whether it's obvious to people or not. I do believe that any artist and every artist does share their beliefs in their work. Next question. In a word, no. Moving on. Next question. I had a lot of fun making the book. There were a lot of frustrating moments, like I said before, a lot of hard work, and times that I thought, oh my goodness, maybe I won't be able to finish this book. It's just too hard to do. But that's the great thing about loving what you do, and I love writing, so that's the great thing about that, because then I would just think about my characters and how much I've grown to love them and how much I love telling their story and spending time with them. So then I'd get back to it and I'd work even harder to get it done. And my editor was always there to help me too, to help guide me and to give me some new ideas and just some support along the way. So it was fun to do. It was fun to work with my editor. It was fun to see the scenes as they got better and as the story grew, and it was really fun. The most fun part was seeing the book in print. And I'll never forget the day that I got these books in the mail. My publisher sent them to me, and I was able to hold them for the very first time. That was a treat. That was amazing. And Brittan, because you've chosen Smudge's Mark as your book report book, I would love to send your class a signed copy. Okay, so I will send this to you in the mail. I'll sign it for your class, and then you can pass it on to your friends in your class to read. Okay? Thanks so much for having me in your class, and hope you enjoy Smudge's Mark when you get it. Thanks. Bye.